There are moments in life when everything inside you whispers, maybe it's time to quit. Moments when you look around and it feels like everyone else is moving forward, while somehow you're still standing in the same place. You try harder, you work longer, you push yourself more than ever before, but nothing seems to change. No recognition, no results, no sign that what you're doing even matters. And slowly, a dangerous thought begins to grow inside your mind. What if I'm just not good enough? What if the dream you're chasing was never meant for you? But what if I told you the distance between the life you have today and the life you dream about is often decided by just one simple thing: consistency. Tonight, I want to tell you a story about a boy who discovered the power of that word and how it quietly changed his entire life. And before we begin, if stories like this inspire you, make sure you subscribe to this channel, Think and Exist, because sometimes one story can completely change the way you see your own life. This story begins in a small town with a boy named Thomas. Now, Thomas wasn't extraordinary. He wasn't the smartest student in school. He wasn't the most talented either. In fact, if you asked his teachers about him, they would probably just shrug. Thomas tries hard, they'd say, but maybe he's just not naturally gifted. And the kids at school weren't much kinder. Whenever Thomas talked about his dream of becoming an artist, some of them laughed. "An artist?" one boy once said. "You can barely draw a stick figure." Those words stayed in Thomas's mind for a long time, because deep down, he sometimes wondered if they were right. But the strange thing about dreams is this: they don't disappear just because people doubt them. They stay quiet, hidden, waiting. One evening, after another day of people telling him he wasn't good enough, Thomas sat alone in his room. A blank sheet of paper was lying on his desk. He stared at it for a long time. Then, he made a decision. A very small decision. One that seemed almost meaningless. I will draw every single day. Just one drawing, every day, no matter what. Day 1. The drawing was terrible. Day 2, still terrible. Day 5, nothing improved. Day 10, honestly, it looked even worse. Sometimes Thomas stared at the paper for hours, feeling frustrated. Sometimes he crumpled the page and started over. And sometimes he simply sat there thinking, why am I even doing this? But he kept the promise. One drawing every single day. Weeks passed, then months. Thomas filled one sketchbook, then another, then another. But something strange happened. Nothing changed. After 3 months, he was still average. After 4 months, still average. After 5 months, still average. And this is exactly the moment when most people quit. Not when something is impossible, but when nothing seems to be improving. One night, Thomas sat flipping through his sketchbook, page after page, drawing after drawing. Some were bad, some were worse. And suddenly, a thought hit him. What if everyone was right? What if I'm just wasting my time? For the first time, Thomas seriously thought about quitting. He closed the sketchbook and walked toward the trash can. His hand hovered over it, just 1 second away from giving up. But something stopped him. He opened the sketchbook one more time. This time, he flipped back to the very first page, the very first drawing he ever made. It was terrible. Then he flipped to the last page, the drawing he made that day. And suddenly, he noticed something. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't perfect. But it was better. Just a little, but better. And that small difference changed everything. Because in that moment, Thomas realized something powerful. Progress was happening, even when he couldn't see it. So instead of quitting, Thomas made another promise. If 5 months created this much improvement, imagine what 5 years could do. From that moment on, he stopped worrying about results. He stopped worrying about talent. He focused on just one thing: showing up. Every single day. Day 200. Day 300. Day 500. While others waited for motivation, Thomas relied on discipline. While others searched for shortcuts, Thomas trusted consistency. Years passed. Slowly, quietly, something began to change. His drawings became stronger, more detailed, more powerful. People who once laughed started noticing. Then one night, something unexpected happened. Thomas decided to post one of his drawings online. He expected nothing. Maybe a few likes, maybe a comment. But the next morning, his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications, messages, shares. Thousands of people were looking at his artwork. Comments flooded in. "This is incredible! You're so talented! You're inspiring!" To the outside world, it looked like overnight success. But they didn't see the truth. They didn't see the hundreds of quiet days when nobody cared. The days filled with doubt. The nights when quitting felt easier. Later, someone asked him, "How did you become so talented?" Thomas smiled and said something unforgettable. "I'm not talented. I just refuse to quit." And that is the power of consistency. Talent might open the first door, luck might open the second, but consistency builds the entire road. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they stop too soon.